I
Hmm.
go and I get in there, the teacher wouldn't look at me, you know. And one time I did that, and when I turned around to leave, I talked to this guy and I said, I'm so glad that you all are helping this young man because he had nobody in the world. And I said, I'm so proud that you're helping him and thank you very much. And I turned around and when my back was to him, he said, and thank you too.
Hmm.
Only words I ever heard in that Muslim school.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but some of those Muslim kids now attend Christian churches and some of them don't.
yeah,
You know, that but I know that they've made their own decision.
mm,
They were taught options, and that was what we wanted to do, and we felt like God was leading us to that, even though we weren't in in the back of a truck going through Kampala screaming about Jesus.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not saying that those people are wrong or that they shouldn't do it. That's not, but I'm saying what we were called to do
yeah,
was to go over and to try and get education for these children.
yeah.
And that's what we've given our lives to.
And that's serving humanity. Um, yes, we may be Christian, Muslim, Buddhists, whatever. I think humanity first is very important. Realizing that we are human. Whoever we take care of is human before any other thing. And I think if you having your mission to give education to the less and more vulnerable was the most amazing part of, of, of your mission, of your missionary, of your kind of work that God has sent you to do. And you fulfilled it. You fulfilled it, and you made sure that no matter even the challenge that you had, you were able to do this. So let's look at this. How does Uganda Children's Project involve the local community to ensure sustainability?
You know, we approach this in a very unique way. I think it's
Yeah,
I I uh, I traveled to Uganda by myself a lot.
yeah,
And so I spent many, 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 many days over there alone. And so I talked to lots of people because my wife always says I'd talk to a wall. You know, I talked to a lot of people. Um, most of the organizations that I ran into would go into a village and they would say, let's try to build a school to educate this village. Or they would go and find a school and they would say, let's try to pay fees for all the kids in this neighborhood to come to this school. And see, we never did that. That isn't the way we did things.
yeah,
We found the children. We found these little guys at first, a lot of them around in Nintendo, and then it spread out a lot around Kampala. Probably, well, Jinja was as far that in that easterly direction, I guess, that we or westerly direction that we went. And we didn't go far south. We didn't go far west. We went a little bit into the north, but it was Grace would hear about a place and we'd go in and we would pick some children get me out of my camera. We would pick some children, and we would we bring them into school, and then we would stay with that kid.
Mhm.
You know, parents would move, and we would take off in the van, and we would go where the child used to live, and they'd say, "No, we think they're over here. Go talk to their uncle, and maybe you can find out this." And we'd spend half a day looking for that kid,
Yeah.
and we'd find them 40 miles away, up in the bush somewhere. And we'd find a school near them, and we'd put them in that school. When they got to a certain age, we'd bring them into some boarding situation, typically. A lot of times we'd find out that their home life was such that we'd remove them. We'd get them out of the
Mhm.
situation. We'd put them in a boarding situation where they could be fed.
Yeah.
But we never, um, one year I went over there, and it was at the peak of the project. We had about 300 kids sponsored.
Mhm.
And we were in over 70 schools. And I'll tell you about this in a minute, but we had a situation where I was required to go to each and every school and pay the fees each and every term. That was a very difficult thing, but it also let me see those kids 3 times a year. I got to see every single child 3 times a year.
Mhm.
And I had those little ones in my lap, and they crawled all over me. And the big ones, they'd bring me the reports they'd written and want me to read them. And because, most of these kids were orphans, they had nobody. They'd
Yeah.
draw me pictures. I'd come home with pictures. I'd come home, and, you know, they were our kids.
Yeah.
They were those kids we never had.
Mhm.
And it's so amazing now. They're older,
Yeah.
and
Big man.
I've
I'm
got all these little guys now call me Jaja.
Jaja, the grandchildren. And I'm
And
sure you have already great grandchildren.
yes, and my white beard, uh, I'm getting a little bit of the call me Jaja Ho Ho,
Hmm.
because they think I'm Santa Claus.
Hmm.
So I'm Jaja Ho Ho.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, but that's our approach wasn't so much community focused as it was individual child
Focus.
focused.
Individual child. Yeah.
So I mean, were there schools we were close to? there
Yeah.
there were schools that headmasters that what is happening with my camera? There were headmasters um, that I loved dearly.
Yeah.
uh, we put many kids through certain schools.
Yeah.
But we had to deal with these kids. And the deal was, when you finish PLE, we'll put you in a good school. Everybody gets in a good school,
Mm.
but the school is going to match your performance.
Mm.
And so the kids that finished in the top 10%, they went to NAYA,
Mm.
or they went to St.